Not all questions are meant to be asked, but to find ones that cannot stay ignored. This is Answer Gear.
A heart transplant, difficult but doable. A kidney transplant, routine. But a brain transplant? That's the ultimate sci-fi nightmare. We've never successfully transplanted a human brain, but scientists have thought about it. The idea brings up terrifying ethical and medical problems, and if it did go wrong, we're talking about identity crises, brain rejection, and a full-blown horror show. So let's break it down. What could possibly go wrong with a brain transplant? The short answer, it's probably impossible. And here's why. Even if we could move a brain into a new body, the odds of success are basically zero. Here's why. The brain needs every nerve in the spinal cord reattached perfectly, a task far beyond modern medicine. Even if the brain survived, there's no guarantee it would control the new body properly. And let's not forget, your brain is you. Would you still be the same person, or just a brain trapped in someone else's body? So for now, a full brain transplant is more science fiction than science, but if it did happen, the risks would be terrifying. The nightmare scenario when a brain transplant goes wrong. Let's say somehow a brain transplant is attempted, but something goes horribly wrong. What could happen? Body rejection. Just like with any transplant, the immune system could attack the new body, except this time, the brain is the foreign object. Nerve connection failure. Even if the brain is alive, it might not be able to send signals properly, resulting in full-body paralysis. Identity crisis. Your memories, emotions, and consciousness could clash with the new body's hormones and instincts. Would you still feel like you? A brain transplant gone wrong isn't just a failed surgery, it's a horror story. Could it ever actually happen? The science behind the madness. Even though a full brain transplant is out of reach, scientists have experimented with something close. In the 1970s, researchers transplanted a monkey's head onto another body, but the spinal cord couldn't be reattached, so it was paralyzed. Modern neurosurgeons are exploring ways to reconnect spinal nerves, but it's still nowhere near possible. The closest thing to a brain transplant today? Deep brain stimulation and neural implants, far less extreme, but still mind-blowing. So while we won't see brain transplants anytime soon, neuroscience is advancing in ways that could eventually make it a reality. The ethical and psychological nightmare. Would this even be legal? Even if we could transplant a brain, the ethical and psychological consequences would be just as horrifying as the medical ones. Legal identity crisis. If your brain is in someone else's body, are you still you? What happens to your legal identity? Psychological breakdown. Your brain has spent its entire life in your body. Could it even adjust to a new one? Would it drive you insane? Playing God. If brain transplants became possible, would the rich and powerful start body shopping to live forever? The science isn't there yet, but the moral dilemmas? They're already terrifying. Final thoughts. Would you take the risk? A brain transplant sounds like something out of Frankenstein, but if it were possible, would it be worth the risk? If your body was failing, would you take the chance to live in a new one? If the transplant failed, would you rather be dead or trapped in a body you can't control? And the biggest question, would you still be you? Or would you become someone or something else? Let me know what you think, because if science ever figures this out, humanity is in for some wild ethical debates. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into brain-swapping horror, like and subscribe for more.